everyone. Welcome back to Daily English with Hope, a place where you can relax, listen, and improve your English naturally through real conversations. I'm Hope.
And I'm Adam.
Adam, if someone asked you, what's your typical day like? What would you say?
I wake up, I eat breakfast, I work, I eat dinner, then I sleep.
Technically correct. Also slightly depressing.
I know. It sounds like my whole life is 5 verbs.
And that's exactly what we're fixing today. A lot of learners know the basic actions, but their routine still sounds like a list. So let's turn that list into a real story. Let's start with mornings. What time do you usually get up?
On weekdays, my alarm goes off at 7. I wish I could say I get up immediately, but I usually hit snooze at least twice.
At this point, hitting snooze is part of your routine.
Fair, but on weekends, I'm different. I make coffee, sit by the window, and take my time. I like to ease into the day.
That's a nice phrase for a slow, calm start. But some mornings are the complete opposite. If I have time, I make tea and have breakfast without rushing. But on busy days, I get dressed, grab something to eat, check my messages, and start almost immediately. I have to hit the ground running.
So, on a calm morning, you ease into the day. On a busy morning, you hit the ground running.
Right. And a natural routine needs connections. You can say, the first thing I do is make coffee. Then, after that, I get ready. Or, once I'm ready, I leave the house. Those small connections make everything flow.
Okay, the first thing I do is check my phone. After that, I make coffee. Once I'm awake enough to function, I start my day.
Natural English. Questionable morning habit.
I'll take the language win.
What usually happens in the middle of your day?
I normally have a plan, but the plan doesn't always survive. I'll start one thing, see a message, remember something else, and suddenly I'm doing something completely different. I get sidetracked very easily.
Same. When you get sidetracked, something pulls your attention away from what you planned to do. It can happen while you're working, studying, cleaning, cooking, or even getting ready to go out.
That's me when I clean. I start in the kitchen, find something that belongs in another room, and 40 minutes later, the kitchen is still dirty.
And then you realize you still have everything left to finish.
Exactly. That's when I make another coffee and power through the rest.
Sometimes you just keep going, even when you're tired, because something still needs to be done.
That phrase describes most of my afternoons.
But a daily routine isn't only about work. What do you usually do later in the day?
Sometimes I go grocery shopping, cook, or go for a walk. I also want to practice guitar more, but if I don't plan it, I usually end up on the couch watching videos.
That's why I try to carve out time for things that matter to me, even if it's only 20 or 30 minutes.
I like that. You don't need 3 free hours. You just make a little space for something important.
That's it. It could be exercise, reading, family, studying English, or simply having some quiet time.
And what about the end of the day?
Before bed, I try to put my phone away, make tea, and read for a few minutes. It helps me wind down.
Same. Once the phone is gone, my brain finally realizes the day is over.
Pretty much. Everyone has a different way to relax.
So, the goal isn't to memorize 6 phrases and force them into every answer.
Right. The goal is to make your answer sound connected and natural. Let's try the question again. What's your typical day like?
All right. On weekdays, I usually get up around 7, although I sometimes stay in bed for a few extra minutes. The first thing I do is make coffee. On a calm morning, I like to ease into the day, but if I have something urgent, I have to hit the ground running. I normally start work around 8:30. Mornings are usually productive, but I still get sidetracked by messages or small tasks. I usually have lunch around 12:30, and by mid-afternoon, I sometimes feel tired, so I power through whatever I still need to finish. After work, I usually make dinner, go for a walk, or run a few errands. I also try to carve out time for guitar, even if it's only 20 minutes. Before bed, I put my phone away and wind down by reading. I usually go to sleep around 11.
That sounded completely different from I wake up, I eat, I work, I sleep.
A little more human.
A lot more human. And you didn't need difficult grammar. You used simple time expressions, connectors, and a few natural phrases to show how your day feels.
Can you give us another example too? Mine is still quite work-focused.
Sure. Someone might say, I usually get up around 6:30. The first thing I do is make breakfast and get my kids ready for school. After that, I do things around the house and run errands. Around lunchtime, I take a short break. In the afternoon, I might exercise, study, or meet a friend. In the evening, we have dinner together, and before bed, I like to read for a little while to wind down.
That's useful because a daily routine doesn't have to be about an office or a job.
Definitely. And you don't need to describe every tiny action. Choose the parts that say something about your life.
You can also use words like usually, sometimes, most days, and if I have time, so it doesn't sound like every day is exactly the same.
Right. Those small words make your routine sound much more realistic.
Can we give everyone a simple way to build their own answer?
Think of 4 parts: how you start your morning, what you usually do during the day, what happens later in the afternoon or evening, and how you end your day. Then, connect those parts instead of listing actions one by one.
And if you want to sound more expressive, add 1 or 2 phrases from today. You don't need to use all 6.
Exactly. Choose the ones that genuinely match your life.
So here's a question for everyone listening. Do you usually ease into the day, or do you hit the ground running?
What usually gets you sidetracked? And what do you try to carve out time for? Think about your answers in English.
Then try describing your typical day out loud for about 1 minute. Don't aim for perfect English. Aim for a clear, natural story.
That's the key. Your daily routine is more than a list of actions. It's the story of how your day usually starts, flows, and ends. And that feels like a good place to leave it for today.
If this conversation helped you, feel free to share it with someone who's learning English too.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.